So, how do we turn good intentions into green actions? My first set of discussions today will attempt to answer that question. Here to talk about urban spaces and building a better tomorrow is Charlotte Matthews, and she's the director of sustainability at a really cool organization that I love, Sidewalk Labs. It's an urban innovation company with a mission of making cities more sustainable and affordable for all. Charlotte's background spans from building design to urban tech and real estate management. Charlotte, it's great to be with you today. I love Sidewalk Labs, and I've been a kind of fan for a long time since it's been out there. And it's one of those things that if I wanted to play, and I really love the whole space of smarter, better cities, how we correct a lot of the problems. Can you just take us down this path and this journey into the world that you're trying to build, and tell us what the good parts are and what the hard parts are?
Well, it's a good question. The good parts about the world that we're looking at would be, investing in mass timber buildings, for instance, the idea that we can sequester carbon in the natural materials that we use to build buildings, that we can have the assembly of buildings in factories to ensure that they can be erected more quickly in the field, in cities, disrupting traffic and people's lives less. Mm-hmm. There's the opportunity to have much greater efficiency with which we operate every system, and ideally equity. We need to get to a place where we have real affordability and equity for all. I was very impressed with Biden's infrastructure plan in the respect that it appreciates that infrastructure for the future is not just about better roads or other hard. It's really about bringing opportunity to all Americans, and Sidewalk Labs is very much looking at that, looking at the future of cities through that wider lens.
So when you talk about some of the things, particularly in buildings and carbon sequestration, to what degree do we have the technology today to achieve scale in that, and to what degree do we have to set technology aspirations and still have a bit of way to go to do some of the things that Sidewalk Labs and the sustainability program would like to do?
We're absolutely designing for today, in that every new technology is actually not new. It's really leveraging what's already available in a more thoughtful, holistic way. So, for instance, by 2030, we think that 60% of homes will have smart, controlled electric uses that could be synchronized to a price signal from the utility, so that everyone had a predictable bill. By the beginning of the month, you would know, based on past consumption, your bill will likely be $150. And then the devices in your home, the smart hot water heater, could all be optimized, set it and forget it, to actually get to that outcome. That stuff exists today, and the trends are already going in that direction. Even the mass timber buildings are already being built around the world.
I love that you do real development. You've been in real estate. You've developed real projects. Tell us, which of these is your favorite child? Which project out there, do you think is one that really exemplifies the ethic that we're trying to talk about today? Because I think part of what our job in these discussions is to look for replicable answers that eventually you can scale, that you can create demand for, because you're not going to be able to do all these projects. You need people to begin to copy you, with your permission, I hope.
Or even without, to be honest. We have a big task ahead of us. Everyone is game to do it. Candidly, the developments that I built were, first of their kind in achieving a lot of sustainability first, such as, a green building rating system platinum rating system level of platinum for the tallest building in the U.S., or the tallest building to achieve that. A community microgrid that saved the equivalent of, 2,400 homes worth of carbon emissions. But I left real estate and joined Sidewalk because every one of those projects was not close enough to where we need to be for sustainability. So the project that actually is most near and dear to my heart is the unbuilt one that Sidewalk started in Toronto, where we set out to design and develop a climate positive community, one that literally if not net zero in its emissions, could actually take existing emissions off the grid in the city. And while that project was not built for all of the traditional reasons of land costs and such things, what came out of that was a lot of learnings that have actually propelled the products that we're working on at Sidewalk Labs, including my own. And that project was going to be all electric. In Toronto and Ontario, they already have 96% of the electricity they generate is from zero carbon sources. So they already have this future of a clean electric grid. And then we were building all electric buildings that could use that. Now, what we learned, however, is that when you have an all electric building, you double, if not triple, the amount of electricity that you need from the system. And all of that copper that you're putting in the ground to serve that amount of electricity, as well as the upstream infrastructure, is all doubling, tripling. And that was going to be incredibly costly, not just for the project, but for all utility customers. I mean, the utilities have to pay for this somehow, and it falls down to customers. If we want to get to this clean electric, clean energy future, we need to electrify our buildings. We need to electrify cars, but we need to do so in a way that does not increase the cost of electricity, or else we're no better off than we are today. So Sidewalk Labs actually developed a solution for the project that we've now made into a product, and we're pitching to utilities.
So it's interesting. So I have the mayor of Las Cruces, New Mexico, and the mayor of Denver in our program later today. When they're in their roles, they have certain resources, but what mayors are in part, sometimes they're executives and sometimes they're cheerleaders, trying to get, folks to move in a similar direction. Is this kind of, infrastructure? I had not known this about copper. Is this kind of infrastructure solution something you're hoping to get mayors and other urban planners and practitioners to think about?
Absolutely. When I look at the infrastructure plan, for instance, it talks about the electrical grid, but I think there's a general sense that we just need more capacity. And in fact, that's not the solution. We need to learn how to use our resources better. And automation of buildings and homes, which are already happening, is actually a great way to do that, because you have a ton of systems giving off data about how they're operating that can be optimized through a common brain, with other signals like from the utility about what's the availability of clean energy. Canada pays New York to take some of its hydropower at night because it doesn't have anywhere to put it. That's the kind of energy that we want to give people access to. And, again, their smart hot water heater can do it in the middle of the night. So yes, I would like the mayors and other policymakers to be thinking not just let's put more infrastructure in the ground, let's support jobs in that way, but also think about how can we actually improve the use of resources. In that case, it may require things like changing the way we price power. It may be changing the regulations around things that are currently favoring certain industries that are no longer the industries we want to rely on. So we need a holistic approach toward a clean energy future.
Just real quick, Charlotte, in wrap it up, I know that you're in the middle of this and you're a realist, and I love hearing the fact that you think, here's a good idea, but here's some downsides we have to fix. But is your sense that we're moving in the right direction fast enough? This session is, about taking the temperature of planet Earth. Are we boiling in a pot that's getting warmer? And are we going to be able to fix? Are you an optimist or pessimist?
Candidly, I'm a pessimist that loves to fight the fight. So I get up every morning believing there has to be a chance. There has to be a chance. We have to figure it out. Like, just because you think you might lose doesn't mean you can't afford to, or that it's worth not trying. So are we moving fast enough? Absolutely not. But if we think that the story's already written, we won't go forward. And can we turn it around? Of course. One never knows what the future is and what possibilities are available. And that's very much what I lean into and try and create new possibilities.
I'm one of the odd people that really enjoys pessimism. So thank you very much. I love your candor. Charlotte Matthews, Director of Sustainability at Sidewalk Labs, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.